Well, good morning. Longhaultanker here, straight razor shaving with Longhaultanker, and today is Thursday, the 27th of November, 2025, and happy Thanksgiving. Today is Thanksgiving Day. I'm doing a shave, straight razor shave, at this time of day to get ready for the rest of the day and dinner and so forth. That my wife and I are going to enjoy a nice leisurely day, eating food and watching television, movies, whatever. After a long several days here of a new project that we're engaged in, I set up some pictures at the beginning of the video, 4 or 5 pictures of we're building a shed, a storage shed, a work space shed. Is going to have work benches along, at least with the long side. It's a 16 by 24 work shed, and we've got the what you might call the foundation. We've got the lower deck framing done. We've got the plywood flooring on it and secured. And probably tomorrow, we're also expecting several days of rain starting on Saturday through most of next week. So we may be confined to indoor activities with that rain coming. So anyway, we're having a nice Thanksgiving. We're not having a turkey. My wife and I neither care too much for turkey at all. And so we're going with a ham. And so, the stores here, all you buy a ham and get a free turkey. And so we gave the turkey away. And we're going to have ham and other side dishes that are, customary to Thanksgiving, the dressing and mac and cheese and potato salad and some other good stuff like that, along with the ham. And we're also going to turn the ham into sliced ham for sandwiches for as long as it lasts. All right, so let me introduce the equipment and get on with what we're doing today. I put my 7-day roll-up of vintage mint condition straight razors. I put it aside, I put it away, and I've moved on now. I've got 3 roll-ups in a row, 7-day roll-ups that have traditional, common condition vintage razors. So, for example, now you've seen me use this razor on a number of occasions as a head shaver, and it's my Fox cutlery, what looks like to be about 5/8 barber's notch, just very common. You'll find these kinds of razors on eBay and other auction sites. Just very common condition, nothing spectacular or particularly interesting. It's a Soligen Germany razor, and so my first couple of strokes today are going to be with this razor because I want to see how, I know it does a very good job on the head. I just want to see how it does on 3 days worth of growth, whiskers on my face. My primary razor, however, is going to be this Genco Easy Aces. Genco Easy Aces. It's American, Bradford, Pennsylvania, made in the USA, so it's American steel, and nice little inlay there. Easy Aces. Says Easy Aces there on the tang, and on the reverse it says the Genco Company, Bradford, Pennsylvania. And so this is our primary razor for today. And today also, I have been using for all of my shaves for the better part, well, I've been using this new Sterling 28 millimeter boar bristle brush for all my shaves for the month of November. And Greg Gallant informed us all that November is also regarded as November, Boar. And so I guess there's a custom, I forget now what the custom is, but, and I know there's other people that'll grow mustaches or goatees in recognition of Men's Health for November. I'm not big into that sort of thing. I don't know the people that are behind those things. And my experience has been that most of the time, the people that are promoting, organizing these men's health issues are oftentimes members of the Rainbow Mafia, and I want nothing to do with them. But anyway, November, I can play along, not knowing who's behind it and why, but just to use a boar bristle brush in the month of November, plus when I got a brand new one I want to break in, that's the top priority, is breaking this in. It just so happened to coincide with November. Oh, well, so what? Now, my soap today, I broke rotation. I just grabbed this. I wanted to do something a little different because I haven't used this in a while, and that is Eric's Cajun Blade sample that he sent me quite some time, well, about a year, maybe two ago. And it's a very handsome scent. I can't say that it's sandalwood. I can't say, maybe it's some kind of, I don't know. But there it is. It's fine. It's not a heavy lathering soap. And so I'm going to fill my boar bristle 28 millimeter, and I just threw it in the water about 30 seconds before I started the video, so it's been soaking in the water, and this brush has been breaking in quite nicely over the month of November. Whenever I hear a engine motor outside, my ears perk up because the street that I live on and my neighbor and I live on, we're the only ones on this street, and it's a poorly conditioned street. And so people who would inadvertently, accidentally turn into and onto this street, as they see the condition of this street, would be likely to say, oops, we've made a mistake, and they back out and be on their way, get back out on the main road, which is not but about 500 feet behind them. And so they realize that they've made a wrong turn, and there's plenty of room to turn around. It's a poorly conditioned street in that the blacktop is, it's not broken up with a lot of nasty potholes. But there are some cracks in it, and there is grass growing up and weeds growing up in this asphalt and the side of the road. There's no curbs. It's country living. No matter how you slice it, it is country living. And so when I hear the engine or the motor of a car, it makes me wonder, who is it and why are they there? And so it's a kind of a security, call it a security thing if you want to. I do. I do. I've not had a shower this morning. We had a shower. We showered last night after our day of work in the yard, laying the plywood, 3/4 inch plywood for the flooring on the floor deck, on the joist, the 2x6 joist that we laid down. And this has been fun. There's a guy, and I may drop his video in. There are lots of videos on YouTube about how to build a shed, how to build the various elements of a deck that you build off of. It's like our guy says. His name is Jeff of Home Reno, RENO Vision DIY.com. Or anyway, that's his name on YouTube, handle name. And apparently he's a contractor. He does a lot of work. He has a lot of videos. And so we're following. He's got one video in particular. It's a 4-hour step-by-step video where he explains and documents how he built this shed. Now his is a little smaller. I think it's a 10x16 maybe. Maybe it's a 10x8. And so when we resume work after the rain, or maybe tomorrow, or if it's going to rain on Saturday and rain for 4 or 5 days thereafter, I don't see because the next step is to commence the building of the frame for the walls and the studs. And of course, you got to get those built and set them up and secure them in their upright position. And why would you do that when you only got a couple of them? In a 6-hour period, in a 4-hour period, you can get 1 or 2 of them framed up and have secured up, and then you got to stop and wait for the rain to pass over the next several days. No, I'm going to wait till I've got good weather, sunshine. Of course, we're headed into the fall. We're headed to winter. And we'll see how, but, it's not constant rain or hurricanes or storms like it would be maybe in the early spring. And so I could still anticipate and plan for several days of sunshine and moderate Texas weather. Not like it's 29 degrees last night in Amarillo. So... whereas it was 45 degrees overnight here in Onalaska, Texas, which is about 70, 80 miles north of Spring, Texas, which is the larger Houston vicinity. All right, let's try out this Fox razor. And with a couple of strokes. By the way, I'm drinking some community signature dark roast coffee, which is delicious. And so here's the Fox razor. And if I remember right, this was honed up on or just look at that. It just, oh yeah. Oh, that's just absolutely wonderful. And so I don't have it in the 7-day roll-up that this sits in. It's a collection of razors that are kind of on the lower end of they're not mint condition, and they're just, and you got so many razors, and you're trying to put them into a 7-day roll up with other, that where the positioning of that razor would be a complement to the other 7. How do those 7 work together? Like the mint collection all complement each other in the sense that they're all mint conditioned. And I show them off as such, as mint condition. And so you get those all matched up, and you're left with a handful of razors. And where do I put these? And so I've got my lower end razors that are. It's not that this is a bad razor. It's a Solage in Germany. Fox Cutlery it's a good razor, as you're seeing right now. It's a good razor. I'm laying this thing as flat as I can against my cheek and jawline. And so I've got a roll up with 7 razors in it, maybe 6. I don't remember right now, 6 or 7. As I say, they're the bottom end of my collection, and at one time or another, as my collection was growing, and I was still actively buying razors. They were all in regular rotation. I was using them for face shaving and head shaving together. Okay, I think I'm going to switch over to the Easy Aces. That's what this shave is supposed to be about. And as I recall, this was probably likely honed up, the Fox Cutlery, on my Zulu Gray, as I recall. I ought to make a notebook. And I think that, I'll be honest, I don't recall what stone the Easy Aces, when I got this, I was actively, heavily using the Den's hard black, surgical black, and the Zulu Gray. Less so the conical, unless it was a Sheffield razor. Now, I seem to remember that this soap was not a heavy lathering soap, but I'm proved wrong here this morning because it's lathering just fine. Maybe because I put it on extra heavy on the brush. I don't know. But that's usually my way. It's rich and thick, creamy, pleasant scent. I don't think it's sandalwood, but to me it smells a little bit like sandalwood. I think there's something bean comes to mind. Coca bean, or I don't know. I'm not big on the scents like that. And feel free to tell me, Eric, what that is. Anyway, so I'm excited. My wife and I are both very excited. We have our little spare bedroom here in our single wide mobile home is just jammed up with stuff that we brought, and especially my winter clothes are laid out on the bed, stacked up, hangers, and just stacked. I got no place. I got no closet to hang my winter clothes. And there's some shirts in there that I'd like to break out and wear. All right, So I want to say happy Thanksgiving. Um, and if you're watching me, um, I appreciate it. I recognize that my numbers have dropped off considerably from the height of my from the high perches from which I have fallen. Anyway. And so, Eric, the Cajun Blade, happy Thanksgiving. And my good young friend, Sean Staplefeld, in Puerto Rico, Dapper Shaves, Jock over in South Africa. And I always hate doing this because I can never get everybody out that I want to get out. And so I've been watching a lot of Rick Whitson. Did I say that? It's not Wilson, but it's Whitson. I think that's Whitson. Good stuff. Good country guy. Um, uh, who else? Oh, Greg Gallant. Love watching Greg Gallant. I've learned some things from Greg Gallant. But I watched one fella, and I forget who it was, that said that, a lot of us guys, I've been around 10 and a half years. I've been shaving with a straight razor. I went back and looked at an old, I think it was number 50. I'm up to this, if I remember right, this video is number 440. And so I've got a lot of videos out there. And I don't know anybody who has steadily made as many videos one after another. And they may be commonplace. They may be just shave videos. And I've always been a big believer that the demonstration is in the shave itself. Don't have to talk about it. Yes, there are certain basic functions and maneuvers, like with the grain, against the grain, across the grain, etc. And you can talk about the equipment, talk about the razors and the soaps and all that stuff. And that's all fine. There are people who do that. And so you do what you're interested in. But people rise and fall in popularity. And I've never been shy about my particular leanings as far as pro-American, anti-Rainbow Mafia. Pro-Trump, pro-America first, make America great. And I think we're going to see some great things that are in the offing within the next 6 to 12 months. I think this economy is going to break wide open, and I think those that are in need of prosecution are going to be prosecuted for such things as election fraud in 2020 and stolen election. But one thing that I've noticed here, anyway, I don't, that's part of the reason probably why my popularity or viewership has diminished. And that's, okay, I've always said that the purpose of me making videos was never about being a thought leader. Oh, that feels real nice. I like showing off my equipment. I've always had a bit of a flair with my pastoral background of talking in front of people, like talking in front of people, like talking about something, you know. I've even talked about some spiritual and religious matters briefly, because I know that's, you know, not the forte of this. And you can often get the message, the same kinds of messages in a more of a politically cast conversation, instead of saying, open your Bibles to Genesis chapter 1. See, that's the old me. And if I came across as a Bible teacher, and I know there are plenty of videos out there that, you know, talk about, for example, the preservation of Scripture, the Bible, New Testament in particular, or New and Old Testament. You know, how did they come into being? What are the manuscripts? Are they reliable? That's one of my one of my fortes in it, because I just love that subject of is the Bible reliable? And I know there's a lot of people that say that it's not, and they have weak, almost ridiculous reasons. And anybody that denies the Bible does so because of the perverted lifestyle and practices. They're defending themselves rather than defending the Scripture. And that's the bottom line of that. Bottom line. All right. Against the grain, left-handed, left side of the face, from north to south. Very nice. My very good friend, Bill M. I got to talk to him on the phone this week. He's doing fine. Has other issues in his life that he's had to pay attention to. And he's doing fine. And so it was good to talk to him. He'd fallen off he hadn't made a video in months. Him and his wife are in good health. Part of that is a little speculation, because I never did really ask him about his health. But he's always been a big advocate of the keto diet and getting his own diabetes situation in hand, under control, carnivore diet. And speaking of which, diabetes, my own, and I don't talk about this much because it's not a big deal to me. I've never treated it as a big deal. I still pretty much eat what I want to eat when I want to eat it. But my pre-diabetes, and that's that number always shifting and moving up and down. I think that pre-diabetes the scale number goes from like 5.7 to 6.9 or 7.0. And it's that type 1 diabetes, insulin diabetes, that kicks in at 7.0. But over the last 6 to 12 months that I've gone to the doctor, and now that I'm on Medicare and I got an Medicare Advantage plan and it's all active, et cetera, et cetera, and that's a conversation that we're going to have too about Medicare. Oh my God. Anyway, uh, uh, I went to the doctor. Medicare paid for it. Everything's fine. My plan is a United Healthcare Advantage, Medicare Advantage plan. But my pre-diabetes number had dropped from 6.7 to 6.5 to 6.3, and my A1C this time came back at 6.0. So steadily declining over the last year. I've lost a lot of weight. If you've been following me much, in the last year, I've lost a lot of weight. As you know, when I went to that new truck driving job in December last year. And that was quite a strain on my body. And so for the last 15 years, I'd been steadily and consistently between 240 and 245 pounds. And then all of that business happened. I started losing weight rapidly. December of last year through certainly the first 6 months to where I'm at today. And I'm more consistently at between 215 and 220. And when I went to the doctor this past week, or late last week, I guess it was, maybe, my doctor was the same primary care physician I've gone to for 25 years. May have to find a new one now that we've moved so far north. And anyway, that's another story too. So far north of Houston. My primary care physician was in, if you look on a map, was at the West Houston Medical Center, which is toward Katy, way over on the far west side of Houston, and coming from, on Alaska, Livingston, come down. You either got to cut 30 miles over to Huntsville, come down I-45 to the west, or you got to go to the east to Livingston, which is 20 miles, and come down US 59, which is going the opposite direction, but it's shorter to get to a main artery. But anyway, Bill's doing good, and it was so nice getting to talk to him and get caught up with him. And it's interesting, you get to know these guys, if you can. They're just guys on the internet. Bill and I knew of Bill. Through his videos, and we'd drop comments to each other. But I met him on one of the forums that does a video hookup once or twice a month with the members that want to. And that was interesting. They got a little carried away with their devotion to the Rainbow Mafia crap. Anyway, I'm not going to go into all that. All right, where am I at? Across the grain, left-handed. And of course, the reason that you have all these different angles across the grain, with the grain, is that you're trying to, as the whisker gets cut down shorter and shorter, you're trying to pick up, your first pass is about taking down 3 days worth of whiskers, getting the bulk of them removed and out of the way. The rest of it's all cleanup. It's just cleanup, because while you're cutting against the grain, the rest of it, you may still have a little bit of a whisker that's sticking up above the surface of the skin. And so the rest of this is all cleanup to get that little bit of nub chopped down to the surface of the skin. And that's why pulling your skin tight, and I've always been a big believer in pulling the skin, stretching the skin, is that whatever little bit of nubs that you have, when you stretch the skin, that makes them stick up and expose themselves more easily. So that's that. So, and I know I'm missing somebody. I'm always missing somebody. I always think, like now, right now, Mark at Friendship Shaving comes to mind. He's over in England, and I don't know what UK's traditions are regarding the remembrance of and celebration of Thanksgiving. But go back and look at. It's unlikely that the UK has a similar tradition. I know Canada does. They celebrate a form of Thanksgiving on November the 1st. That they actually call Thanksgiving. But American Thanksgiving was clearly defined and outlined by George Washington. Go back and look at his Thanksgiving Day prayer. I believe I'm wrong. I haven't done any. That is to say, it's been a long time since I have even read the thing. And it used to be that I'd read, there was a stretch there of about 5 years or so that I had occasion to read, and I made it a point to read the George Washington's Thanksgiving Day prayer. And while the Pilgrims' Thanksgiving Day practice, the first Thanksgiving was back in the mid 1600s or late 1600s. George Washington's prayer came along later, but it's the spirit and the tenor of the words that so magnificently outline the character of the American Thanksgiving and our firm reliance and dependence upon God Almighty. And so if you've never read George Washington's prayer, go back and do it. It may be, especially if you have a strong faith in America, a strong faith in God, a firm, clear view of what America is and should be, unlike the modern, rainbow mafia view of things. I do that. I haven't ever made mention of this before for me, but when I do this stroke right here, and I'm trying to turn the razor so that it's going a little bit sideways so I can get the stroke to go like that. And that's a very hard thing to do at this angle on the side of the neck, on this left side of the neck. And for me, it throws a little pain in my right shoulder when I do it. There's something going on up in my right shoulder. And so that's why I come back with against the grain, and I call them my cheating strokes, because when I'm doing my cheating strokes before I actually do against the grain, I do those because it's hurting me. The across the grain that I'm doing is actually causing me some physical pain, and the woes of getting old. Although I will say, of late, I still have these, my lower back, my right hip. I've got my right shoulder, my right elbow. Pain. I still have a fair amount of pain, but I'm getting out there in the yard and I'm chopping wood, I'm splitting wood. I've got my chainsaw duties that I'm doing, and I'm trying to stay active because I know full well what happens when old folks slow down, and I'm trying very hard not to be like that. Now, there's sometimes I do like my leisure. And I'm trying to get the yard and the house all conditioned well enough, whether it be the backyard is actually hopeless, and that's why we're going to eventually, as we can afford it, we're going to put rock and gravel down everywhere, and the rest of it, there's just too many roots, trees, stumps, and and there's not a thing you can do about it. Not a thing. And so, and that's why we're going to put the gravel down, is because at least we can walk on it. We can build elevated decks across. When we get done with the new shed that we're building across the long side and the front in the picture that you'll see, we're going to probably build a 10-foot deck out, 10-foot wide out from that side that you see around the front, where the front door of the thing is going to be on the 16-foot side. As you look at the frame, what will be on the right-hand side of the picture. And so there'll be I don't know how many windows we're going to put in it. And so we're going to have two large decks, with one on the 24-foot front side that you'll be seeing, and then where the door is going to be on the right side, 16-foot. There'll be a deck coming out from that at a good at least 10 feet. I should say between 8 and 12 feet, because like the guy says on the videos that we watch, he says, you're going to build something, and unless you've got compelling reason, build according to the size of the materials available. Less cutting. Now, I found out something, and I made a comment. We had to trim the plywood. The 4x8 plywood was larger than 4x8. And it was very confusing because we had been very particular. We'd been very particular about when we built the frame and the floor joists and got that frame all built out, it was square and level. It was just about as near perfect as you can get. I think any contractor would have been amazed at how square and level we had made the floor joist frame. Call it the foundation of the thing if you want to. And then we started laying on the plywood, and all of a sudden we had to start trimming it. What's this all about? I thought these were 4x8. What we didn't do, and we should have, is that we should have measured the plywood before starting to lay it down, so that we would have, so that we knew where we had to trim it and where we were going to lay it. And let me tell you, that was kind of frustrating. But we got it all. And if you look real close at the picture, you'll see some gaps in the plywood that are a little bit larger than preferred. And I can't even say of a certainty that the plywood was all that square. And granted, you got to watch wood, modern wood. There's bows and uneven, whether it's 2x6, 2x4, or plywood. It's not always as straight and square as you want it to be. And so the guy that we're watching, this Jeff at Renovision DIY, in his 4-hour video, as he and his son are going through the building of this shed, their shed that they're building, he said, just remember, it's just a shed. And so my wife and I made that a joke between her and I. My wife's on the phone with somebody, one of the kids. And just remember what I said. If you got a little nick or weeper, if it's done bleeding by the end of the shave, it never happened. And so you can call it a perfect shave if you want to when you get done. So we're going to watch a little football this afternoon, Thanksgiving Day. My wife is particularly interested in the Kansas City-Dallas game. Her brother, my wife's brother, is a big fan of the Kansas City Chiefs. Goes to a lot of he lives in Dallas and goes to a lot of the games in Kansas City. All right, let's check the sideburns. All right, let's move on to the head shave. I'm going to wipe off with my dry rag the Easy Aces Genco, Bradford, Pennsylvania. Beautiful razor, beautiful scales. As I said earlier, it's not mint condition by no means. It's common. Just there's no rust on it. You know, you can tell somebody is maybe cleaned it up a little bit, and so I just call it common condition. Just common condition. And so I've just set it aside, set it on my bed over here, which is about 6 feet through the door here. Oh, that's just wonderful. Wonderful. All right, let's... Yeah, the lather's about wore out, but it held up good during the shave, the face shave. And so we'll bring back the Fox Cutlery razor for the head shave. And it did really quite well on the first part of the shave, where I did the with the grain right side of the face, that beginning strokes there did just fine. For a beginner, this would be a welcome addition to the collection. This is the kind of thing, and I don't remember. Oh, this is one that was sent to me as a Christmas present from the forum that I was participating in their activities. And I just find it interesting that both he and I are no longer apart of that forum. He had his reasons, I had my reasons, etc., etc. When these forums depart from the promotion of straight razor or wet shaving, straight razor shaving, whatever their focus is, when they depart from their focus, they invite trouble. And Bill has been, my good friend Bill M, has been no stranger to controversy with his promotion of what he calls super curve honing, or what others may call convex, is it? Convex honing? And even being banned, which I just find absolutely absurd. Let a person do what they want to do, and let them defend it and promote it. Oh no, that's heretical. Really? Really? I know a few things about what is heretical and what isn't or shouldn't be. I can say with a high degree of confidence that the tenets of the Rainbow Mafia are heretical. And not just because I say so. I got to remember, I lost my mind there for a minute. So I had my hair cut this morning with the clippers, and it's always hard and difficult to see my lines. And so I'm just going to approximate and try and cut above my ordinary lines is what I try to do. And then whether it's 2 days from now or 3 days from now, I even had to shave a few days. If I remember right, I had a series there of 2 or 3 shaves that I did not record. And one of them, I had 5 days of growth. And I told my wife, I sure would like to record that. Shave. And she said, we got other plans. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's nice and... Okay. I'm putting my Sterling 28 millimeter boar bristle brush down into the water, squeezing the soap out, letting the brush soak as I prepare for the end of the shave and eventual cleanup. I'm getting ready to do the back of the neck right now. And then we'll move to the refinements. I got a nice cologne. Since I'm going to be at home and relaxing with my wife, I'm going to put on something that is nice and lasting. And doesn't fade away in the first 15 or 20 minutes after the shave, like any one of the Panade. They're nice scented aftershaves, but they're not a cologne. They're not long-lived. Or I think a better way to say it, I believe it's correct to say they're not long-lived. They don't last long. Okay, so that was that Easy Aces Genco. That was the first razor. And I always do the 3 leather roll-ups that have new production razors in them. Then I do my vintage mint condition, and then I move to the common vintage razors that I have, like this one. And there's 3 roll-ups, so that's 21, 7, 14, 21 of those razors. That is not feeling the way I want it to. Yeah, that's better. Both the Easy Aces and this Fox Cutlery are very thin in their grind, which is interesting. And I've got one razor coming up in the common vintage that is so thin it's scary. What's the name of that? Anyway, it don't matter. This is just all fun stuff. Okay. Put that there. Put this over here. So we use the Cajun blade, and what I don't think it's what I said it was. So, but it's nice. It's nice smelling stuff. I'll set it over here, and that goes there. And I'm going to dry this off with the dry rag. Set it on my bed to my left. Be very careful not to hit the sides of the scales with the edge. All right. I'm doing a dirty water. And I say dirty water, just it's the water that I used for my shave with the melted soap, with a brush soaking in it at the bottom. The correct way to do this would be to do a cold water rinse, apply the alum block. This is, here, let me do this. Here's my water container. That's my water. I use this for my shave because the sink on the is, in my opinion, for me, I'm a big guy, is completely inadequate for any kind of shave, let alone a straight razor shave. So I use this. It's very hot when I put the water first in. Of course, it cools off as the shave goes on. I rinse off in that pan of water. I'm still trying to figure out a way to set up a shaving station on the back porch. It's got electricity, but it's got no water. And so any water would have to be brought out from the kitchen, which is all right. I mean, but it's just, I don't want to have to do that. I'd like to have a basin, a regular installed sink with running water, but now we got to get it tied into the sewer, and now we're talking plumbing expenses. All right, where are we at? All right, let's go ahead and do this. Let me do a quick little rinse on the brush in the basin of water. I'll come back later on the final cleanup off camera and do a more thorough rinse of the brush. I'm going to pour off the water, do a quick little rinse, turn it upside down right there and let it drain out. All right, now I've got a clean countertop, unobstructed. So I've got my alum block on. Nice little finishing sensation. I won't call it a sting, but a sensation. Reach over into my cabinet here and grab some Thayers to put on. I'm going to follow that with some balm from the, well, let me just go ahead and pull it up. Tuscany Perumo. Got the balm and the cologne together. There's the box. I don't use this very often because when I originally bought these about 10 years ago, I bought 3 or 4 of them. And now that I'm not working and am retired, and I've got to be a little bit more mindful of outflow, that's my last one. I've got this bottle here, which, as you might be able to see, is there's about 25% left in that bottle. And I got 1 full bottle of that, but that's my last bottle of the cologne. And so, and I used to buy these at a Trader Village discount, and they may be knockoff. It may have been a knockoff. I don't know. All right, that's it. I smell good. I'll see you down the road. Bye. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody.